But at that moment, when the maid served breakfast, I was stunned, wondering why dessert was served before the main course. So, I asked Linda, and only then did I find out something super scary. Our clan is so poor that we can barely afford food. At the same time, there was a noisy sound coming from outside the window. It turns out that this celebration was forced to be cancelled after just one day. Vendors who didn't make money this year have collectively come to the castle to demand compensation. Hurry and call Lord out, otherwise we will tear down the castle later and sell it as scrap metal. I feel extremely uneasy about this situation. I will observe the mental state of these people. If we don't organize them soon, they will really demolish the castle. Next, I will inquire about Fergus. Why don't you bring some soldiers down and intimidate them with force for now? We can then figure out a way to calm them down. Fergus also expressed his helplessness in this matter, as the number of orc attacks on the front lines in the north has increased. Most of the young soldiers in the city have been called up to support the troops. Furthermore, there is a monster forest not far to the left where monsters could suddenly emerge and attack Fidium at any time. At this moment, knowing about these terrible things, I feel numb all over. Even if the clan is broke, with such weak military strength, it's no wonder why it met a quick demise in the previous life. Afterwards, I put my arm around Linda and whispered something to her. I remember you have been managing my money. Why don't you use my compensation to pay the vendors first? Linda said that there is no money left at all. Previously, because you spent money recklessly, Duke Master stopped giving you any pocket money. Then you can lend me some. Linda smiled at the mention, but didn't say anything. Fortunately, in the end, the vendors were just bluffing and soon left the castle. Money may not be all-powerful, but definitely not having any is a huge obstacle. I must figure out a way to make money if I can't get it. Just then, a soldier suddenly rushed over in a panic to report. Young Master, something bad has happened. There is a big issue outside. Kane Young Master said that he wants to see you in person. Wait for me to arrive on the scene. The soldier who stood his ground has been knocked down and is barely breathing. I'm not Kane. Just like you, I'm feeling a surge of anger at seeing this situation. Long time no see. You, as my loser cousin. The boy said he is the weakest human on the surface of the earth. Yet, the sword he wields weighs 1,000 kilograms. Every time he duels with someone his age, he can shatter his opponent. Little did they know that when he says he is weak, it is simply a ploy to deceive others. Time goes back to the moment when Kane arrived at Fidium. I remember his face quite clearly. He is Rosie's first heir. They have an alliance with Fidium. During my ignorant days, Kane was indeed my only friend. But he is also an enemy. At this moment, I asked Soldier Ricardo behind me what had happened before Kane caused trouble. Upon hearing this, Ricardo explained in embarrassment that after young Master Kane arrived at Main City, I followed Commander Ben to go and prepare to welcome him. Just as we met, young Master Kane immediately asked about the rumors about you. Even if Ben tells everything truthfully. But Kane Young Master still insists that it is all fabricated. So Kane Young Master punished Ben for the crime of deliberately deceiving. That's how it all went. Unexpectedly, Ricardo had just finished his words. Kane's expression was full of disdain as he said, As servants, if you say the wrong things, of course, you should be punished. Otherwise, where is the dignity of us masters? But it is really funny and interesting. This old man actually said that someone like you who hasn't received proper training can easily defeat an orc. Who would believe that you can even punish 2 soldiers who betrayed their clan at the same time? Everyone knows you are just a loser of Fidium. It seems that even after living a lifetime, a dog is still a dog. His words are still so disgusting. This guy only caused continuous accidents in Fidium in his past life. He caused trouble everywhere, and even claimed that I instructed him to do it. Although I have tried my best to explain that it was all done by Kane. But being mischievous by nature, no one naturally believes what I say. Moreover, Cain has always had an excessive sense of self-confidence since he was a child, and he carries himself in a dignified manner in everything he does. This has created a positive and hopeful impression of him in the eyes of many people. At this time, Cain is somewhat puzzled. In the past, whenever confronted with Cain's provocation, I would have vowed to resist to the death. This has resulted in him being unable to smoothly carry out the next plan. Just a short while ago, the man in black who was originally planning to kill Alina found Cain and asked him to take out the young master of Phidium. He promised that after the deed was done, the master would give support to the Rosie's clan. Cain was naturally tempted, but currently, the other party is the designated heir of Phidium. He didn't know how to handle this matter properly. Upon hearing this, the man in black revealed the plan he had in mind. You will induce that loser to duel with you. When you are halfway through the fight, create a little incident to take his life quietly. You don't have to worry. I will accompany you in the guise of a knight and handle any sudden situations for you. Also, opportunities like this are rare. Although Cain had a moment of worry, he eventually agreed without hesitation in order for his clan to become powerful. It seems that this loser has indeed changed a lot. The level of endurance is truly eye-opening for me. I have to think of a way to provoke him. Since I'm already here as the host, shouldn't you treat me well as the young master? Just when the celebration was interrupted, in order to liven up the atmosphere again, of course, we must play more excitingly. Haven't we always gotten along well in this regard? I heard what he said. Cain always orders wine and maid service whenever he comes. At that time, I was afraid of being hit, so I just kept following his orders. But it was also because of him that my pocket money would be spent completely. Speaking of money, I am currently short of it. Cain happened to come today, so let's settle our previous accounts properly. He saw that I was slow to take action. Cain got impatient and quickly told me to roll up my sleeves and get ready, otherwise. Before he could finish speaking, I interrupted him. I think it should be you who needs to prepare. Before you came to Phidium, all the money spent was from my pocket. Let me calculate principal plus interest adds up to 1,000 gold coins. Cain listened and said, These were all things you voluntarily did to get closer to me. If you don't know what it means to pay a price for friendship, then go back to the womb and start over. Do you think you deserve to use the word friend? You used me as a scapegoat before. I warn you, it's best for you to repay every penny you owe me in full before I give you a beating. At this moment, Cain's face suddenly darkened. Meanwhile, Ricardo, who was standing beside them, instantly realized that he had said the wrong thing and might have unintentionally angered Cain. Suddenly, Cain stood up and said, Just because your knight told a few lies, you think you're something special. Loser is just a loser in front of my strength. You're nothing but a big pile of crap. As soon as Cain finished speaking, he immediately swung his fist, the size of a sandbag, towards me. I, on the other hand, remained completely calm. When he was just 1 centimeter away from striking me, I effortlessly dodged to the side. Seeing this, Cain believed that I was just lucky. He immediately raised his fist again, preparing to strike from the side. Little did he know that I had already anticipated his anticipation and dodged by crouching in advance. I delivered a strong and powerful uppercut directly hitting Cain's ribs. But this is far from enough. Following that, my fist went straight towards his face. Unexpectedly, my punch was blocked by Cain with his hand. But what was strange is that this guy's expression was still smiling. The next second, he suddenly screamed in pain on the ground. At the same time, the man in black disguised as a soldier immediately seized the opportunity and asked, Young master, are you okay? I know Cain is pretending, but I don't know what benefits this guy can get from doing this. Don't play dead on me, Cain. Who knows? The man in black suddenly shouted. Why are you hitting us, young master? Doing this will only affect our relationship as allies. But what he said was not actually directed at me, but rather to attract passers-by around, so that these people would all insist that I bully Cain. But now I have also guessed Cain's intention. If it really comes to this, I won't show any mercy. On the other side, the man in black is also praising Kane's acting skills. Now, it seems like I am the only one who made a mistake. As for what comes next, of course, it's time to start today's main performance. I will definitely kill you. A great opportunity from heaven allows Rosie's clan to regroup. I will never miss it easily. Later, Kane took out a blue glove and prepared to throw it at me, suggesting a duel. But I was one step ahead of him. I, Giselle, officially challenged Kane Rosies to a duel. Insulting me is one thing, but now you are also running wild in my Fidia domain. You even hurt my castle knight who protects me. I will settle accounts with you for today's actions. Kane found it ridiculous after hearing it. I know you are stupid, but I didn't expect you to be stupid enough to give yourself a chance to enter the grave. I accept your challenge. But if you want to regret, you probably have to wait until you end up in hell. Facing Kane's pressure, I am not timid. Instead, I ordered Ricardo to bring those vendors who came to Main City for compensation today. Tell the vendors that there is a project here that will make them a lot of money. I just used the simplest draw sword and cut move. I shocked everyone present, because they all had their bets placed on Kane kneeling on the ground. Little did they know about the move I was about to make next. I actually made them go wild again. He mocked me, saying there was absolutely no way I could win this battle. Time goes back to the moment when Kane accepted my challenge. I instructed Ricardo. Please bring all the vendors who came today to demand compensation and tell them there is big money to be made here. And as Kane and I stepped onto the arena, the surrounding area instantly filled with spectators who came to watch the excitement. This naturally boosted the revenue of the stalls, because people who come for the fun all know that it's better to eat while watching. In addition, this showdown also added a betting section. Kane's odds are 0.1 to 1, while mine are 1 to 10. But without any surprise, those who bet all know that Kane is very powerful. So they are willing to bet everything they own on him to win. At this point, Kane disdainfully said, I've turned such a sacred duel into a gambling match. But it doesn't matter. I just want to let you know that I will not accept you surrendering halfway through, until I have disabled you personally, even to death. At this, I silenced him and told him to speak less nonsense. Since the audience had gathered so much, let's get started quickly. However, suddenly, the man in black shouted loudly that the duel could not proceed, because no one present was willing to bet for me. But at the same time, he also gave a suggestion. Either bet my life for myself, or find someone in the audience willing to bet for me. The scene suddenly fell silent. It was clearly a sure-win situation. They wouldn't be foolish enough to volunteer to be the scapegoat. Kane also joined in with sarcastic agreement. It seems like you, the future heir of Fidium, are not doing well. Even your own people don't support you. As soon as his words fell, Ben and Ricardo suddenly appeared with a bag of money. I want to bet on young Master to win. Not only that, even Alina and Linda made a special trip to come over. Is this money enough to ensure a normal competition? If it's not enough, we can add more. That's enough, that's enough. The person in charge of betting shouted repeatedly. At the sound of the bell, the competition officially began. Then I told Kane that since I am your cousin after all, I will let you take the first shot. Bring it on, but you better not disappoint those who support you. Kane laughed at what I said, so I'll follow along with respect and obedience. But if you want to win, you might as well go home and get a good night's sleep first. After saying that, Kane promptly took a big leap with a high jump. His physique far exceeds that of his peers, but his speed of movement is not slow either. Fortunately, I reacted in time and raised the sword to block it. And Kane's strength is already greater than my body, so I absolutely cannot hold out in a head-on confrontation with him for too long. Little did I know, this guy can actually forcefully cancel the post-attack recovery animation, and his skin is so tough that not even blades can hurt him. I only saw him holding the sword in a reverse grip and smashing towards me with the hilt, but I still evaded unscathed. But his attack did not diminish in the slightest. A powerful kick came directly towards my head. At this moment, I didn't even have a chance to counterattack on the field. The audience was already prepared to leave and collect their money. Even Linda realized that it was necessary to stop this match. She believed that I absolutely couldn't beat Kane. You should know that the reason Kane's strength far exceeds his peers is because his attacks are too vicious. So much so that his opponents can only dodge and flee without finding a chance to counterattack. While Kane only needs to seize the opportunity of the opponent's escape to exploit the loophole. He can then use a single move to defeat the enemy and secure victory. It seems that your loser is quite powerful, but it is only limited to the skill of running away. Kane finished speaking and began to spin the sword in his hand. Immediately following, both of his hands grabbed the sword, which is his commonly used technique to increase the intensity of his attack. Following that, I countered his move. The powerful momentum instantly lifted me into the air. Kane on the ground was readying himself for a deadly strike. Just when everyone thought I was about to be defeated. But I condensed mana under my feet, allowing me to stop in midair in time. Then I turned around and held the sword, using a sword technique that descended from the sky. I directly caught Kane off guard while he was still gathering power. Don't think that your brute force alone can be called swordsmanship. You are just slightly stronger than an average person. But what I want to say is that your brain is really useless. At this moment, Kane was provoked by the words I said. He didn't say a word and grabbed the big sword directly, rushing forward fiercely. But now, he is full of loopholes. I immediately changed the trajectory of his attack with one kick before it landed. I then leaped high into the air, dodging the oncoming attack. I then utilized a spin in the air. I elegantly made a few slashes on his body. But now, Kane still hasn't realized the power gap between us. His attack speed looks like it has slowed down in my eyes. After dodging his stab, I stepped directly on Kane's sword with one foot. I immediately swung a continuous sword strike and successfully cut a wound on his neck. Kane looked at the skin that had been cut open and finally understood. I hadn't used my full strength in the fight. Otherwise, the skin wouldn't have just split at the surface. What level have you trained your swordsmanship to? Upon hearing this, I coldly glanced at him and then threw the sword aside, saying, My skill is not limited to just swordsmanship. Next, I'll just use my bare fists to fight you. I can definitely win in a swordsmanship duel. I, who could have won with 100% certainty in the swordsmanship duel, dropped the sword in my hand while holding an absolute advantage. I resolutely chose to end the battle with bare hands. And I also bought an extra 2,000 gold coins to bet I can win. People around me see the situation and all think I am crazy. After all, no matter how strong the fist is, it cannot withstand the attack of Kane's great sword. On the other hand, the man in black breathed a sigh of relief. He originally thought that his side was bound to lose. It seems that even God is on our side. You really are a loser and like to show off. Little do they know, I just want them to have a good experience. How can I achieve an all-around crushing victory over so-called peers of the same age? And as the person in charge of placing bets shouts, the competition continues. Kane immediately took off his coat. He picked up the broadsword and launched a fierce thrust attack towards me. Indeed, foolish people fail to learn from their mistakes. Even if I have no weapon, your attack still seems slow to me. I only see myself crouching to dodge. I sidestepped and landed next to Kane, who had no defense. I punched him directly on his right thigh, causing numbness. Next, I gathered strength with my fists going downward. I used a Shoryuken move and hit hard on his chin bone. I saw him squatting on the ground for a full 10 seconds. I immediately started mocking him on purpose. Stand up for me. I haven't even warmed up yet. When I said that, Cain was so angry that he was about to explode. He picked up the big sword in his hand again and charged blindly, while I was dodging his sudden thrusts and slashes. I tightly grabbed his upper and lower arms with both hands, exerting force. I almost twisted Cain's right hand into a pretzel. Even though he was beaten so badly, Cain's desire to win is still deeply rooted. After all, only if he kills me will the Master help them, Rosie's clan, return to the peak. But this is just a thought after all. Cain is left with only being beaten in front of absolute strength. Finally, after being subjected to my repeated bombardment of 49 continuous punches, Cain, who has turned into a pig's head, finally has no strength left to resist. Later, I grabbed his hair and reprimanded him. I truly feel sorry for your father. Clearly, your father really wants to rise to a higher level on top of the allies. But as a son, you want to ruin Fidium. However, what I say is, this also reminds Cain of memories from a few years ago when his father, in the declining situation of the clan, had to forcibly help the dying Fidium. Cain felt that there was no need to pour water into a bottomless pit, but what he got in return was his father's words. I am friends with Fidium Duke, just remember this. When Cain comes to his senses, he will soon face the full-force blow I sent to his face. But in the end, I still held back. It's enough to have reached this stage. It could also be considered as repaying the kindness shown by the Rosie's family head in the past. I have done what I should educate you, so from now on rise up. Only then did I reach out to Cain, who was kneeling on the ground, and realized that Cain, who recognized his mistake, quickly bowed his head to ask for my forgiveness. In the end, I forgave him, but it doesn't mean that the money lost in this showdown can be written off. What is owed still needs to be repaid. At the same time, my victory has also gained the recognition of the common people. However, it's also their tragedy because they all placed their bets on Cain. At this moment, the man in black suddenly rushed onto the stage. He angrily chided Cain not to be daunted by a little setback, and not to forget the promise that the Master would deliver. Upon hearing this, Cain stated that he did not want to do it anymore, and he would never do anything to harm the relationship between the clans and allies. Seeing the man in black rush onto the stage so eagerly, I narrowed my eyes and smilingly said, Now it's your turn to do what you're supposed to do. The man in black is a bit disoriented. What should he do? The next moment, he was scared to the point of almost vomiting his soul out. The man said he would treat everyone in place of Cain. Feel free to eat and order whatever you like here. Man in black orders me to immediately retract the words I just said. I then comforted to delay getting too excited. This money will be deducted from the betting losses. Just even if the spend amount is deducted, you still have to at least compensate with a large box of coins. But if you dare not to compensate, you should know what the consequences will be. That's it. Another person who hangs their head in sorrow on the stage. Time quickly arrived at the next morning. I received a full box of coins. With this amount, I estimate that I can hire a combat team. Allocate them more reasonably towards the business I want to start. Just then, Linda and Alina suddenly burst in. They asked me how the money was going to be spent, or how it was going to be turned in. I will definitely not turn it in. As for how to spend it, that is naturally my own business. This money is hard-earned by me at the risk of my life. Linda then told me something else. In a few days, young master, you have to attend a birthday party. It's best to pay attention and buy a valuable gift in advance, otherwise your fiancé will definitely be very angry. I was stunned the moment this was said. Where did I get a fiancé from? The wildflowers by the roadside given to the fiancé as a birthday gift. But I asked her to pay 10,000 gold coins. Just because she has an unspeakable secret, and she is also one of my clan's enemies from past life. She made an engagement with me when we were teenagers. This is just a facade for her, and that group of people to try to swallow Fidium. The moment when I found out I actually have a fiancé, a piece of information that did not exist in my previous life memory, truly surprised me. Until I heard that my fiancée's name is actually Amelia Rayford. A bad premonition immediately hit me. It really is that woman. She is the traitor who, hand in hand with Del Duque, proclaimed the downfall of Fidium. In the eyes of the people, Amelia is a gentle and understanding noble lady. But behind the scenes, she has been planning a rebellion. She has a nickname, Greedy Witch, in the north. I then asked Linda when her father might return to Main City. She responded that he would be back in about a week. There is plenty of time, so next up is to start my money-making plan. And when she saw me suddenly going out, Linda asked anxiously, afraid that I would squander all the money I had just earned. After listening, I left a final threat to extort money, and then left Main City to meet Amelia. On the other side, at this moment, Amelia was taking off her shoes for a barefoot girl. She expressed that in Domain, everyone except herself must wear shoes. Then, Amelia ordered the soldiers behind her to assist the homeless people to rebuild houses and prepare half a year's worth of food. She did this with only one purpose, which is to establish an image of a kind ruler in the hearts of Domain residents. Amelia then returned to her own backyard. Her personal guard, Burnoff, then helped her wash her feet. At this moment, Amelia, with a premeditated tone, said, "No matter what, my father will only make the residents of the Domain obey unconditionally." But in fact, they would rather follow the ruler Burnoff, who can provide them with food and clothing. Hearing this, Amelia quickly followed suit and said, "Mrs. recent actions have indeed been beneficial for winning the hearts of the people. It will definitely play a big role in the future succession situation." Unexpectedly, in the next second, Amelia actually stepped on Burnoff's face. "Don't try to change the subject. Tell me why you lost to the North in the first sword fight." Burnoff explained that winning would attract unnecessary attention, potentially exposing your whereabouts, Mississippi. Now is not the time to reveal our hand. Following that, Amelia also inquired about the operating status of her merchant guild. Burnoff stated that the reconstruction materials after the recent battles between Fidium and Monster were all purchased from their merchant guild. The money for this probably equals the annual aid that your father, Rayford Duke, provides to Fidium. And the Merchant Guild has also recruited a significant number of strong soldiers who had previously left Fidium. Well done, Burnoff. But you must not reveal your true identity until you have fully strengthened your power. At this moment, one of Rayford's servants walked over. His sudden appearance clearly offended Amelia. But just as Burnoff got up to give him a good lesson, the other party anxiously said that he was asked to come by Miss Amelia's fiancé. He said there was something very important that he needed to see Miss Amelia about. As the scene switched, at this moment in the reception room, Amelia was reprimanding me for having no manners or etiquette. Even for an unmarried couple, an appointment must be made in advance to meet. Upon hearing this, I responded, "I am here to wish you a happy birthday in advance. I want to give you an unexpected surprise." Then I picked a wildflower from the roadside and gave it to her as a gift. This is a flower I bought at a high price from the Merchant Guild. Its scent happens to match your temperament. In the future, you can buy flowers there if you want. Upon hearing this, Amelia inquired about the name of the Merchant Guild. When I mentioned it was Arctim, she immediately got up to leave the reception room. This Merchant Guild is under her command. Since you want to send me a gift, I have received it already. It's fine, you can go back now. I have important matters to attend to. Suddenly, my eyes became sharp and filled with killing intent. "Amelia Rayford, sit down," I commanded. The aura I exuded immediately made her feel an unprecedented sense of oppression. She couldn't believe that the once timid loser young master, whom she didn't even dare to speak to, now made her feel scared with just one sentence. Seeing her attitude, I got straight to the point and told Amelia that besides giving gifts, she must also give me 10,000 gold coins. In an instant, Amelia was stunned by these words. "So you're saying that you suddenly ran to find me just to borrow money, right? If you need to borrow money, it should be your father who comes in person, not you." After hearing this, I expressed that this money has nothing to do with your father at all. It's purely a matter of your own blackmail. Following that, I proudly revealed another piece of information to Amelia, that she will definitely not marry me, just like the guards currently standing outside the door. After you become Rayford's lord, he will then be your true husband. In the fiercely competitive situation of Rayford's heir, if I secretly expose you as someone who is building up your own power, what would the heirs think? But I said it so straightforwardly. Amelia still calmly responded to me. Even if it's a joke, you better not spread these words around casually. Otherwise, __. I interrupted her before she finished speaking. So give me 10,000 gold coins, and I will help you keep this secret. What if I don't give it to you? Amelia immediately called Burnoff. I recognized this guy as a formidable rival. In the past life, among all swordsmen in the north, he ranked in the top 5. However, his current strength is not yet at that level. Amelia's intention is very clear, she wants to kill me. But I still advise them that if I die here today, the battle between the two domains will surely erupt. Can you bear this responsibility? Amelia waved her hand, indicating she doesn't care. Because today if you die, it will only be seen as my personal guard killing a nuisance who harassed me. So Burnoff immediately let me eliminate this loser. Yes, sir. Give me 2.5 seconds. I feel so comfortable listening to their conversation. Since the road is self-inflicted by you, then don't blame me for being ruthless. It's just 3 ordinary empty armor shells that have become the secret weapon of my fiancée to kill me without getting married. However, at this moment, I have no idea. I only saw the moment when I drew my sword to prepare for the battle against Burnoff. One of the armors behind me suddenly burst open, and an assassin holding a long sword immediately rushed out from inside. Fortunately, I reacted in time, dodged by flipping backward, and intercepted the opponent's sneak attack by kicking a stool into the air. Next, taking advantage of the moment before he landed, I kicked hard on his lower body. My powerful kick even sent him flying out of the window. And seeing their secret weapon defeated in an instant, Burnoff and Amelia were shocked. On the other hand, I just grinned and talked freely about their ways of doing things. This move for entertaining guests is not bad at all. But if you think this poses a threat to me, then you better go back to the womb and start over. After saying that, I picked up the sword in my hand and rushed forward, ready to take the initiative by surprise. However, even though Burnoff has not reached his peak state, his strength should not be underestimated. I then questioned Burnoff as a member of the Knights. Do you really not understand anything about the ways of the Knights? In response, Burnoff decisively replied, since you have threatened the life of my master as his personal bodyguard, I naturally have the right to execute you. He then used his arm to firmly lock my weapon and immediately swung his sword, intending to finish me off on the spot. But to me, this was child's play. I swiftly freed myself from his grip by using my body's rotation. I generate inertia by spinning again. I immediately gathered strength and kicked hard on his waist. And this blow also sent him flying 10 meters away. At this moment, Burnoff realized that something was wrong. The intelligence he gathered was incorrect. In his previous perception, I was clearly just a loser who only knew how to bluff. But from the skills I demonstrated today, it's completely unlike something a beginner could do. Amelia behind me asked sternly, "Didn't we agree that it would be solved in 3 seconds? It's been 2.5 minutes already." Don't tell me you can't even beat a loser. Otherwise, you can pack up and leave after today. Burnoff wanted to explain it carefully, but ultimately decided to keep his mouth shut. He previously protected Amelia to reserve some strength for himself. But in order to always stay by Master's side as her sword, he no longer holds back his strength from the next turn until the end of the battle. Watching him, he instantly burst out with astonishing mana. I was indeed somewhat surprised. Unexpectedly, this guy also resorted to foul play, taking advantage of my momentary distraction to swing his sword towards my neck. Even so, I was still able to narrowly dodge by relying on my own reflexes this time. but his speed has increased by more than twice. My face was still cut open by his sword. On the other hand, Burnoff didn't even give me time to catch my breath. He came at me like a storm, swinging fiercely. He wants to use this to force me to reveal a flaw, and then strike me down with his sword. At this moment, in Amelia's eyes, she finally understands why Burnoff was briefly suppressed by me before. In addition to not using all his strength, it was because I unexpectedly awakened the mana core and could use mana. At the same time, I am well aware that continuing with passive defense will lead to trouble sooner or later. So in the following round, I launched a counterattack. As a result, Burnoff unexpectedly used the same tactics again. He tried to clamp down on my sword with his arms. But the same move didn't work on me the first time, and it was the same the second time. This time, I still evaded his attack by spinning around. But just as I was about to kick him in the waist like before, Burnoff's reaction speed completely exceeded my imagination. In the blink of an eye, he locked my feet and controlled me in midair. Then he swung me up and slammed me forcefully onto the floor. The impact truly taught me a lesson. Even if the same move were to succeed, it should not be repeated too soon the next time. I saw Burnoff's fatal blow coming. Years of experience as a mercenary told me that his sword could save me. So I first dodged the sharp sword by turning my head, then kicked his sword to use it as a wall. I barely managed to perform a backflip to get out of the current danger, while Burnoff sneered disdainfully, saying, "I didn't expect the young master of Phidium to have been hiding his strength all along. Rather than saying you've systematically learned swordsmanship, it's more accurate to say your skills are just common maneuvers used to battle monsters. Maybe these deadly moves work well on a chaotic battlefield, but they won't work on me at all. Today, you definitely won't be able to leave here alive. But right now, I am also worried about whether my mana can hold up. Although it's a bit difficult, I have decided to take a chance. After all, I'm very aware that when facing opponents stronger than myself, the closer the combat, the more disadvantaged I will be. So next, I need to create distance to find my breakthrough. Only by doing this can I defeat opponents that I'm unlikely to beat. As I pull fiercely with the ley line gathered in my hand, the sword Burnoff had thrown away seizes the opening behind him when he is off guard. It perfectly struck the back of his head in a surprise attack. Then I stepped forward closely. I followed up with a knee kick to him, just as I was about to use a downward swing to end the duel. But Burnoff suddenly came to his senses and forcibly blocked it. After he knocked me back with brute force, he then discreetly reminded his master Amelia to leave through the back door quickly. I will deal with him soon and reunite with you.